Welcome everybody to UNC Health's Week of Gratitude event presented by UNC Children's. All of you joining us this evening were invited because you have a heart for children. My name is Keela Lyon and I'm the Senior Executive Director of Development at UNC Children's. I can't thank each of you enough for your generosity over the past year. You have helped us continue to pivot this year more than we ever could have imagined. Your generosity allowed us to continue to provide the highest level of care to our patients and families, not only in the clinic setting, but at home as well. Many of you are supporters of our Patient and Family Assistance Fund that supports direct needs of families. Many of our families have struggled during this time, and food insecurity is a large part of that. We thank you for continuing to remember our families in need. On behalf of our physicians, nurses, staff, parents, and patients, we're grateful for you. Before we get started tonight, I wanted to let everyone know that we're recording this call and we'll send it out to everyone afterwards. So if you miss a step in this process tonight, we've got your back. So please note that guests are unable to share video or sound during today's cooking demonstration, but we encourage you to use the chat feature to talk with other guests or ask Chef Sheri or Dr. Benny Joyner a question. So feel free to do that. Tonight, we're going to have the pleasure of cooking alongside of one of the best chefs I know, Sheri Castle. Sheri is an award-winning professional food writer, cook, recipe developer, cooking teacher, and public speaker. And most recently, to add to her resume, she has become a Zoom cook-along teacher, which is what we'll get to experience tonight. Sheri has a cookbook out on the market that's available for pre-order right now called Instantly Southern. Personally, I have Sheri's The Southern Living Community Cookbook. The recipes are great, but the stories are even better. You can learn more about Sheri and her offerings at shericastle.com, and that's S-H-E-R-I castle.com. Sheri has been a friend of UNC Children's for some time now, and we can't thank her enough for agreeing to do this for us tonight. Alongside Sheri, you're going to see one of my best buddies at UNC Children's, Dr. Benny Joyner. Dr. Benny Joyner serves as the Division Chief of Pediatric Critical Care and currently the Vice Chair of Quality and Safety for the Department of Pediatrics. What this really means to me is that he is the MacGyver of the hospital. Benny has to perform under high stress situations that require quick action. He's a UNC guy through and through. He resides in Durham with his wife, Rebecca, and 3 kids, Stella, Nora, and Nate, and 2 dogs, Fudge and Freya. And with that introduction, I'm going to turn the reins over to Sheri. Sheri, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Keela, and thank you everyone that's joining us this evening. I'm delighted to be here. What we're going to do is we're going to make a cocktail, a seasonal cocktail, one of my favorites, and then we're going to make a couple of appetizers. And I look at these appetizers more as a framework of things that you can take and do at home and make it your own. The recipes are available, and then if afterward you have any questions, I'm happy to take questions at any time. So the cocktail tonight with my wonderful assistant here, this is a cocktail called a boulevardier, or what some people call a boulevardier. And it is actually a very old cocktail. It first started appearing in cocktail cookbooks, as it were, in about 1927. And while we do some shaking, I'll tell you some more stories about it. So it is the base of this is either bourbon or rye. And Benny and I talked ahead of time, and we're going to do a bourbon. This happens to be a bourbon that was made in Charleston, South Carolina. It is one of the newer ones on the market. It's called Charleston Bourbon, and it is made from an heirloom corn called Jimmy Red corn, and I love it in a good cocktail. So the base of this, and don't worry, this isn't making one. We're actually going to make several here, so don't worry that I'm keep filling this back up, but I am going to make.
Disappointed in that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Makes at least one, depending on how your day is on. So here are, definitely, it's 2 ounces of the bourbon. And then to that, I'm going to add some Campari, which is a little bit of the history of this recipe. So this recipe is actually the brainchild of a man whose last name was Gwinnett, but he was a nephew of the Vanderbilts.
Really?
Yes, of all of them. And he wound up in Italy when Prohibition kicked in. A lot of the country's very best bartenders said, I got to go someplace where I can ply my trade. And they moved to cities around the world. And so when this boulevardier came about, is one of those bartenders wound up in Italy where they discovered things like Campari, and they discovered a Negroni, which is a great Italian, but yet they had brought some of their good old bourbon and some of their stuff with them. So what this is a Negroni made with bourbon instead of with, and this is sweet vermouth. And going to put in a little bit of that, and then I'm going to put on the lid and shake. This is techno term. Shake the heck out of it.
Oh, okay? I can shake the heck out of anything.
Exactly. Now, in the recipe that we're sharing with you, there's also a version of this. You can make a batch if you want to make a big bunch of it for a party and so forth. But one little admonition I would say is don't make it too far in advance.
Sure.
You want to shake it with a little ice, or make sure they're big cubes, but it does not take well to have a melting ice in it. It just breaks its heart. So you don't want to sit around and get sloppy and so forth. So you can serve it in a highball glass, but there is something about these little crystal glasses date back to the same era that the cocktail was invented. So I think there's some history in that. And then we're going to garnish with a little bit of fresh orange zest. So, you know, cocktails often take advantage of a twist. A lot of recipes you'll see later take advantage of a lot of zest. And the reason zest is so good in something, that's where most of the flavor in a piece of citrus actually comes from. Because that's where the citrus oils are. So that burst of aroma that you just got when you did that zest, and the zest is the shiny part, is because that's where the citrus oils are. And it's going to give you that great burst of flavor. Some people go through rituals that they'll like warm up the zest with a cigarette lighter or over a candle, or they'll do things like that. But you know what?
I'm not that fancy.
It's no longer on the orange, and it's in the glass. That's accomplishing her goal. So, should we try one?
Let's try it. I'm all excited about this.
All right. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers, friends.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good cocktail.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
Oh yeah, it's not too sweet. It's not too bitter. It's balanced. It's probably a little too drinkable. You know.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I'm gonna have to drink this nice.
Okay, so
nice and slowly.
Let's make a little food.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we're gonna need something.
So I'm gonna put my glass over here, and then move this out of our way. And the first thing we're going to make tonight are these little wonderful stuffed fingerling potatoes. They're either the fanciest potato skin you've ever had, but you know, if you call them fingerlings, you can get off.
There, you can get away with a lot of stuff, right?
So let me get my fixings over here.
That's good.
You know, a few years ago, you couldn't find fingerling potatoes, but now, now they're everywhere.
I was gonna say, I've never recalled a time when I couldn't find those.
You get them at the gas station now. They're over there near the Tootsie Rolls and the corn nuts.
The bubble gum, right?
Exactly. So what I did earlier is I took the little fingerling potatoes. You know, they're so named because they are more or less the size and shape of fingers. And I tossed them with a little olive oil, put them in the oven, and these babies cook in only 15 to 20 minutes. It's like making miniature baked potatoes. So then the next thing I did is I opened them up and I kind of squeezed the little ends to open them up like a steakhouse potato. And I have already put in here a creamy mixture, this wonderful mixture that is goat cheese and creme fraiche. Okay, a nice crumbly, light goat cheese. A little creme fraiche, you can use sour cream, and that's the basis. Now, we're going to put some good smoked fish and some capers and onions and lemon on here. But here's the thing. You can put anything in these little potatoes that make you happy. So if you want to go like ball game casual, you could put, like some bacon and some cheddar and some scallions. You could put smoked ham. You put anything you want. And I love doing these, but you can also set it at a little station and let people talk with
I was just wondering.
So if you're having people over and you don't know how you're going to kill 2 hours with these people, make them fix their own taters. That'll buy you at least 30 minutes. So let me get a pretty plate for us, and I'm going to let you talk some, and then I'm going to talk some. Excuse me as I walk behind. And so like I said, the goat cheese and creme fraiche mixture is in there. And then this is a wonderful North Carolina product called Sunburst Trout. It's a hot smoked trout that's made in Waynesville outside of Asheville. And unlike smoked salmon like you put on a bagel and lox, this is meaty and delicious and wonderful. And I'm going to let you break up as many as you want. Let's put some on our plates here. Let's have a bit of a good-natured competition on who's a little better.
Oh, no. That's, I'm going to. lose that battle right away.
All right. And so this fish, you can get it in good markets around here. And like I said, this is North Carolina brown trout.
Right.
And the family used to do all of the smoking over grapevine trimmings from the Biltmore Winery.
Oh, really?
Now they make enough that they use other woods, but that was the original claim to fame, was that wonderful grapevine smoking. And the place, you can go visit their farm if you've ever wondered what a trout farm looks like. It's not so much a farm as they've got a system where they can, it almost looks like chicken wire in the creeks where the fish get so big that they can't go through. But it's a wonderful place, and so this it is has won competitions of some of the best smoked fish in the world, and it's from our wonderful mountains.
Oh my gosh, I wish I would have known that before. I was just in Waynesville doing some RV camping this summer, and so this would have been a neat little thing to go visit. So.
Well, I want you to go back and camp session. Let me tell you this: you can get this at the grocery store.
Well, thank goodness I don't have to travel all the way to Waynesville.
Exactly, exactly. So you can put as much or little of this trout. If you can't find this trout, you can use a hot smoke, like I said, a hot smoked salmon.
Okay.
You can use a little pulled chicken.
Okay.
You can make these meatless, but something about the smokiness and the aromaticness of this fish with the creaminess is really, really exceptional.
I was gonna say, I wish you guys could smell this. This absolutely smells wonderful. Just the smoked fish. I don't know if it's that or between the drinks that we're having.
Oh, well, our drinks will get better the more we sip. That's how it works. And so the next thing is I have a little bit of chopped shallot, or you could use a scallion, and a few capers, almost like we were making like a bagel with lots of cream cheese. But you can put anything you like, and so we're just going to sprinkle or place them. You know, some people are sprinklers and some people are placers. You got to know your personality. You got to know what your attention span will accommodate here.
Sprinkle.
Yes. And these make a great appetizer. They're a little bit hearty. They make a good, served with a salad. You could even make this a casual meal. Wow. But where these also shine is for brunch. So if you're doing a lot of entertaining, and I know we're not having as many people over, but if you have people over and you're looking for something else for brunch, these little warm potatoes, almost like little hash brown bites, are really good for that too.
Well, they look so simple to sort of
make,
and I know for me it's just the fingerling potatoes. I think my kids would even be, would enjoy doing something like this, putting it together, because what we do is olive oil, salt, and pepper.
Exactly, and that's what this is. And they've even started making some of our wonderful North Carolina sweet potatoes. They're starting to make fingerling sweet potatoes, and you can do that also.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so
I'm a big sweet potato fan, so
that's right. So these are, like I said, they are potato skins come to town. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I also garnish the plate with a little bit of fresh dill. If you're looking for ways to perk up a platter or a serving piece, there's always the great doilies. If you're looking at something else, if you have big herb leaves that are part of your garnish, always take the rest of them and put them underneath. Also, the warmth of the potatoes is sort of releasing this dill into the room. And then last but not least is a little bit of lemon. The lemon is going to give a little brightness to lift up the fish, to make sure everything's not too rich. It's also part of your garnish. So I always say garnish with something that tastes good on there. It would look really weird if we suddenly put, I don't know, a cluster of grapes on these or something like that. All right, so this is my fancy dancy little zester. It's called channel zester, which makes long strips of zest. If you've got one of the ones that are like a microplane in a restaurant, as long as you get some zest on here, that's all you need. So I'm gonna pull a little bit over mine and just drop them on there. And then I'm going to hand you this and let you do a few. And then we are going to try to show it to folks and or get somebody to tell us how good it looks, or they can just trust us. We're really trustworthy. These are spectacular.
I'll tell you what, it smells spectacular.
It is wonderful. You put them in the oven. You cook them in the oven. You can microwave them, but if we look at a microwave that way, it is actually a big steamer. So although it will give you a cooked potato, you're not going to get that deliciousness of a really good baked potato. So no longer than they take in the oven, it's at 400 degrees, like I said, for like 15, 18 minutes. I think that the flavor bonus you get from actually putting them in the oven outweighs the quickness of a microwave. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm not going to quit my day job.
Well, maybe I put second appetizer.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
There you go.
So what we have here are our beautiful little potatoes, and there you go. Any other questions coming in from the crowd?
Say, vote on. I don't know if you can see it, but I don't know. That looks pretty delicious over there. So
exactly. I think we both did exceptionally well. And again, look at this as a framework, not a specific. You don't have to measure.
And it was simple too.
It was super simple.
Right.
I love things that look like more trouble than they are. Who doesn't need more credit than they deserve?
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Are we ready to move to the next one?
I think we are.
All right. Let's put this over here for our out of the way, and I'll clean this little bit of stuff up. And take a sip of the drink.
So how did you get interested in cooking?
Well, I have done this. I turned pro 20-some years ago, as it were. I'm trained as a professional writer.
Oh,
and if we were to meet on an airplane, so
right.
what do you do? It's I'm a writer.
Okay.
I generally write about food and food stories. But I think that this was predestined because I wrote my first original recipe, drew a picture of it, wrote a story to it, and mailed it to a TV show when I was 4 years old. There used to be a woman in Charlotte that had this daily homekeeping thing. She was sort of the Martha Stewart of North Carolina. Her name was Betty Feezer. Okay. And she had a show that came on between the noon news and Search for Tomorrow.
I know that time.
Yeah, exactly. And she was on every day. And I sent this picture of her. And in return, I got a letter and an autographed picture. And my grandmother took that as sure sign I would grow up and marry her son. I didn't. But, you know, maybe just watch it. It worked out. Well, that'd be great. If, you know, many decades later, I wound up marrying Bob Feezer.
It's all because of this story right here.
Exactly. People are married for worse reasons.
There you go. There you go.
All right. So this next thing is I debated sharing this because this has been my ace in the hole party trick for a long time. But I'm going to share. If there's ever an occasion to do it, we're going to do it.
There you go.
There isn't a soul that's ever had people over that did not take a block of cream cheese and put something on top and put it out. And I'm not making fun of that. It's genius. Everybody likes it. Everybody recognizes it. There's all sorts of things you put on the cream cheese.
You've just described my Christmas party.
Well, we're going to fancy up the cream cheese. Oh, so all I did, this is, believe it or not, a block of cream cheese. Let it sit out about 20 or 30 minutes. And this is between 2 sheets of plastic wrap. So you make a little plastic wrap, and you take a rolling pin or the side of a wine bottle or your hand or whatever you've got, and you roll it out until it is a rectangle. And this takes like 2 minutes. It really is easy. And then, I know, and so then you peel back your cream cheese. And we're going to fill it with what we would normally spoon on top of that block of cream cheese. Okay. Now, I made some decisions for us, and we're using a chutney. Because it's sort of holidays, this is an apple cranberry chutney. You could use Major Grey. You could use pepper jelly, good old southern pepper jelly. If you don't want more savory, you could put jam, strawberry jam, 4 fruits, orange marmalade. But you need something in a jar. If you make your own, bonus points for that, but nobody's going to know the difference. And then we have some fruits and nuts, a few chopped scallions, because I like to make sure this doesn't trend too sweet, but people need to do what suits them. If scallions in your cream cheese with your pepper jelly sounds awful to you, well, then just don't put them in there. And that's all we need. So what we're going to do, and I'll go first. Let me move this over.
I was going to say, I'm going to need to watch it. Yeah. My big thing whenever I have to stuff something is I'm an overstuffer.
And so, that's it. And then it comes right out of
it comes out everywhere. Yep.
And that's true. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's a very good point. So I'm going to take a little of my jelly. I'll let you use the new jar and my chutney. And you want a thin, even layer, and not too much. But another thing I've noticed is that people don't take it to the edges enough, and then the end pieces don't have any. Right. So I'm going to guess this is 2 or 3 tablespoons in more or less a light little even layer, going all the way to the ends, but leaving a little bit of an edge.
On this edge, a little
bit of an edge. So there with your new jar, you can do that. And
you need to make sure I'm not overspreading this. So.
Exactly. I'm going to keep a close eye on it. Yeah, so put about what, yeah, so put maybe one more and then just smush yeah, it exactly.
Okay. All right.
I'd bring it to this edge a little bit. Oh, you're doing great.
This is exactly what you're talking about, people not sort of spreading it out to the edges enough. Okay?
Exactly.
But you want to leave.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like I said, this is just an apple chutney, but my favorite is a really spicy pepper jelly.
I was going to say red pepper jelly. When you said that, I was like, oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Remember how pepper jelly used to always be green in a color that's not found in nature, but was apparently found in like a food color bottle or something? I don't know what it was about that.
Yes, no, I remember that.
And then I've got a few finely chopped pecans. Now you could leave the nuts out. You could use cashews. You could use peanuts. You could use pistachios. But just for a little bit of crunch, again, to make this a little bit more interesting. So I put a few pecans. You can do that if you like pecans.
I'm going to do a little bit because I'm not a pecan fan too much. But
all right. Well, then you don't have to put any on.
I just want a little bit of crunch. I just want a little bit of a crunch. Yeah. So I like that.
And then a few of our scallions. And again, this is going to give a little bit of color. And also, it brings out sort of the cooked onion that's in a good chutney. But if you go with a jam, you skip that. Like here's a raspberry jam. Honestly, what goes with raspberry jam or strawberry jam or blackberry is a little cracked black pepper of all things. Really? Black pepper always goes great with the fruit jam, and it gives that little savory edge.
I'm gonna keep that in mind. My wife always says that I never explore enough or I'm never adventurous enough. So I will say the scallions thing is going to be a big move for me. So
I'm glad you're on your horizon.
Yes, there you go.
All right, now here is the easy, tricky part.
Okay.
We are going to roll this baby up.
Like sushi.
Like sushi, exactly. Except instead of a tatami mat, what we're going to do is we're going to use our handy dandy plastic wrap, and you're going to just start the edge, and then slowly peel the plastic back, and it'll release a little bit. You can always use your thumbs if it's sticking. And you want to, if you're making a bunch of these, not get this out of the fridge too many at a time, because if it gets too warm, it becomes one with the plastic wrap. So you see how I'm kind of pulling my plastic with my hands and rolling? And then we've left that bottom bare edge so that when it touches around, it's going to stick. Okay?
All right.
And then if you've got any unevenness, again, depending on, if you want to go full Martha Stewart, you can smooth it with your hands.
There is no going full Martha Stewart, let me just tell you that.
No. But then you roll it right up in the plastic you've got it in, and you can smooth as you go. And then you put these in the refrigerator until they firm back up again. They need at least 30 minutes, but here's the thing, you can do these up to a day ahead.
Oh, okay.
Now, I tried to push the envelope a little bit and do this up to 2 days ahead, and what happens is that chutney starts coming apart, and then you get juices everywhere. And, if that happens, you act like you meant for it to. You call it your inside out cream cheese rolls. But ideally, you do this about a day ahead.
See, I'm just going to display this side, which looks perfect.
Right, you also see that down. Yeah, do we have a question?
Somebody asked, could you explain one more time how you rolled out your cream?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I took a length of plastic wrap, maybe 1.5 feet long, and I laid it with the long side up, short side toward me. And I put that block of cream cheese, which had been sitting out of the refrigerator for about 30 minutes, not till it was squishy soft, but you didn't want it, hardest when it comes out of the refrigerator. Fold that over, and then took a rolling pin and just rolled it until it was in that rectangle. So it's about 3 rolls this way, 2 this way, and 2 this way. And you want it uniform and about the size of a sheet of notebook paper when you're done. And if you're rolling and it's coming off the plastic wrap, you've got it too thin. So that plastic wrap is really kind of your keep your boundaries to know what it is. And then you've got your plastic to roll it up in entirely. I use a rolling pin, but you can use a wine bottle. And remember, if it gets a little uneven on one end, by the time you roll it up and garnish it, nobody's going to know. All right. And speaking of nobody knowing, now I made 2 ahead, and we're going to garnish these babies.
I think my stomach is literally growling right now.
So on the garnishes, I like to use fruits and nuts and maybe a little more of whatever chutney or whatever you put on the inside. But it's really up to you. So what I have got here is I have some pecan pieces, or we can use more of our finely chopped pecans. I've got some dried cranberries, since this was a cranberry. Yeah. And then I have got dried apricots. This has double duty. One thing is we're going to serve this with ginger snaps, with a really peppery, not too sweet ginger snap. Okay. You can use cookies, but a lot of people, for whatever reason, can't enjoy a cookie because of the gluten. I always include a few beautiful apricot halves, because on the garnish, they can have it on this, and it's naturally gluten-free. So this is all we're going to do. We are going to take, however you want to do it, we're going to garnish here. Right. So I'm going to put a few more pecans on top of mine. Okay. Now, the next time, after you get pro with this, at rolling this up, sometimes before I do the roll of the cream cheese, I will actually put some of these very finely chopped pecans down and roll on top. And then it's kind of your Stuckey's pecan roll effect, you know, where that's on the outside. But people love these because at the end of the day, it's cream cheese and something, but it's in a little bit of a different format, and it looks like you went to so much trouble.
Well, I'm excited to try this at home, because then my wife will be like, won't laugh at me when I just put out that block of cream cheese with the red pepper jelly.
Exactly, but she does laugh. Just don't give her any. Well, fine.
I'm smarter than that.
I should not be encouraging foolish behavior. And so you can chop the little fruits up on edge. You can put them on one end. I mean, there is no right or wrong way to do this. Sometimes we're putting one on each tray. Sometimes I'll put a whole group of these, you know, like a little series of them on one big tray. And this is safe. You know, a lot of times when I'm doing a party, I don't want to do something where I have to hover over it, where it's been sitting out too long. This is really safe for a number of hours. And I'm serving it, because you continue to garnish, I am using ginger snaps. Now, this is just a good crisp ginger snap I got at the grocery store. You can use those little Moravian cookies, the little thins. You can use a regular cracker. But this is another thing that makes it a little bit different from the average cream cheese is most people don't think about topping a cookie with that. But it's not too sweet. And
there are a number of firsts here tonight, so this is awesome. I'm looking forward to this.
So I think it's time for another sip. We need to make sure no one has questions, and then I think it's time for you to taste, and we'll see what happens to it. All right. That's a fun little cocktail. It is. Okay. A few more skies. Any questions from anybody? Okay.
Sometimes you can just put some of this on the
top, absolutely. Right? And yes, because then people can kind of garnish their own little plate. Speaking of plates, if you are entertaining, if you're at home, it's whatever, but if you're having people over, I always tell people if it's a recipe you've never made before, or maybe a combination of recipes you've not used for entertaining before, you got to give it a trial run, not only to make it, but to eat it. Here's my scenario. We have all been to a party. Lovely. Everything looks great. Everything's wonderful. You got your plate in one hand, you got your drink in one hand, and where's the third hand to eat food with? Because there's no place to put the wine glass or whatever. You want to make sure that if people don't have a fork or solid surface, the food doesn't require that. You also want to make sure that nothing tumbles down on the food clothes. You know, you got to see if it's going to dribble. So if you are ready and no one has questions, then I think it is time for you. Let's bring one of the potatoes or two back over. Move our garnishing. That's another thing. Where you put the food in your house will determine where everyone's going to stand. So if you want everybody to be in the dining room, that's where the food is. But if you want people to move about,
you've got to mix it up a little bit.
And you got to make sure that there's something good at each one. You can't have the shrimp and the beef tenderloin and the potatoes and salmon in one table, and then like I don't know, the pretzel sticks out there, because people are gonna All right, friend, I've got a plate for you and a napkin. Here is a pretty. I'll let you pick the one you want.
There you go.
Let me put my hands on that one. And I've got a little knife for our chutney. There's that. That's it. You know, and I did that. I'm so glad you said that. Sometimes I do the little baby ones because it really is 1 or 2 bites.
Yep.
You know, it depends on what the occasion calls for.
And just chop it through. And
you just chop it through.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy. You know, if you want, you got one.
This is not being used for anything.
Oh, okay, great.
1 under low mod.
All right. I'll take a couple of these.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. Now the big reveal.
Big reveal. Let me try the potatoes first. I'm
yes.
Try that first. Mm. Oh, that's good.
Isn't that fish amazing?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, what was it? That was
a little bit and a little bit of goat cheese.
Oh,
if you don't like goat cheese, leave it out.
Oh, wow.
Or you could, if you were doing, what if instead of the fish, we wanted to put, let's say capers and artichoke hearts or something. Then I would put a little feta cheese instead of goat cheese.
Okay.
Or you can do just the creme fraiche, just a little something creamy to fill in the potato, and it also helps the toppings stick on.
Oh my gosh, that it is. I have to remember that there are people watching. That was really delicious. So
he's a nice man. I'm not sure he'd tell us if it wasn't, but I do think that he likes it.
I'm gonna try this cookie. I've never tried this before.
Yeah, with a little bit of the chutney and all that. Now, what if somebody actually asked me this? I was talking about this earlier. What do you do if you don't eat dairy? Because the dairy-free, the vegan cream cheese is soft instead of a block, so you can't roll it out. What I would do is I would just construct it on top of the ginger snap, put the little smear of the dairy-free cream cheese and chutney, and just make them more like a little open-faced canapé instead of a roll.
Okay.
But that would be an option for people.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We're gonna see if this works. This is our roll. See, we've got the roll with our nuts and our fruits and things on top. And then
I did not think it was going to work with the cookie. I'm going to be honest with you.
Works.
But it does work. And I can't quite figure out what the different flavors are that make it feel so.
Well, I'll say, as a person who cooks, I know that there is a little bit of ginger in that chutney, but even if there wasn't, ginger snaps are traditionally not very sweet, but they've got similar flavors we associate with the holidays. There's the clove,
absolutely. Right,
and it tends to echo a lot of our holiday flavors. That's why, for example, a pumpkin cheesecake or a praline cheesecake is so good in a ginger snap crust. It's because our mind has made those associations in the past.
Well, like I said, and I again, I wasn't expecting this, but it's so easy to eat.
It's so easy, right. And so there we have it. Oh, the potatoes, absolutely. Let's put our lid back on here. I cannot, let's see. Can you guys see our little potatoes? I'm going to tilt a little bit. And so we have the little individual potatoes with the crumb mixture on the bottom, our little bit of our crumbled fish, or like I said, you could use bacon or smoked chicken or artichoke hearts, or if you want to do these casuals, you could even do a little bit of leftover steak and some black beans. Just whatever you think would be good inside a baked potato is a perfect filling for these. And our little bit of dill and our lemon zest on top, which adds both flavor and color to the plate. So like I said, I just roasted these whole, and then when they were done, I split them open and squeezed them just to open up the middle to make a wonderful little hollow for our good stuff to go in the middle. Just like you were making a baked potato, except they're finger size.
And I'm going to continue eating.
Oh, good.
So good.
Good. I'm glad it's hitting the spot.
And I think it's not so heavy either. That's what I really like about it too.
It's not too heavy, but yet it's substantial enough that if this is going to be, because how much heft you have to have in your appetizer depends on the time of day.
Sure.
Is it preceding the meal? Is it afterwards? Are people about to just hoover it down? You've got to kind of gauge the heaviness and the number of things that you have depending on the time of day. So these can go either one. They can be very substantial, or they can be a little bit to go. And like I said, don't forget the idea that these little potatoes make a wonderful brunch item too.
Yeah, no, this is really, I think that again, the combination of flavors in both of these dishes has been really amazing.
Excellent. Awesome. Excellent. And look, there's our friend Keela. She is back. Keela, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, hey, so here's the deal, guys. Benny, pack up a doggy bag and drop that by the
I will.
house. Okay. I mean, that looks awesome. I've been sitting here just like salivating because I'm starving right now. So it looks so good. Oh, it's awesome. You guys did such a nice job. Thank you, Sheri and Benny, for an amazingly fun evening. Cheers to both of you. You make it look so effortless and fun. I really appreciate it. And, you know, just as a reminder to everyone that's on the call tonight, if you missed a step or you'd like to share this with a friend, you're going to be able to do so. So we'll send the recording out. I know I'm going to get it for myself so that whenever I have some holiday things going on, I'm going to make that roll, Sheri. That looks awesome. Anything with cream cheese is a winner for me. So I'll take it. And so, you know, and lastly, just everyone, thank you for joining us this evening. We appreciate what you do for us at UNC Children's. I know that Benny and I can personally attest to, you know, your support of our efforts, and we really appreciate what you do for our families and the patients that we serve every day. So thank you so much. Again, happy holidays to you guys. I hope that everyone stays healthy during this time and enjoy your holidays. And good night to all.
Good night, friends.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.